Liam?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry I'm not with you today.
It's fine. I think all that way for not that much on investment returns. So, yeah.
Well, it's also I had a clash of meetings today,
Right.
so I'm very grateful to you for letting me do it this way.
Okay. Well, we need to get we need to get some. You may have seen we had a meeting change date for later than you've got. It's okay. Thank you. Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Minute to go or so. Are we broadcasting soon?
Fine, thank you, Gordon. Yourself?
Okay. Are we?
Yeah, don't mention football.
Have we got apologies from? Have we got apologies from? Oh, Joe, have we got apologies from the city today? Chapman.
As soon as you mention football, I'm just going to ignore.
I think we're about to start, so we'll start to. We'll ask for the live transmission to commence. Good morning, everybody. We've had the signal that the live thing is happening. So, welcome to members of the committee and any members of the public that might be watching online or upstairs. My name is Eric Kerry. I'm the chairman of the committee. I'll remind members that the meeting is being broadcast live. If any guests are attending remotely, please remind members to use their microphones when speaking only, so they can be heard by remote attendees, but if you want to keep them off at other times, please. Before we begin the meeting, I'd just like to remind those members of the public that are present that placards, banners, advertised materials and similar items are not permitted. Failure to comply may result in the member of the public being asked to leave the meeting at that time. They should remain seated during any debate and not do anything to endanger the health or safety of any person. Members of the public may record proceedings and report all public meetings. Any person recording the meeting must not disrupt the good order of the meeting. Mobile phones and other electronic devices must be switched to silent, please. Okay, moving on to the agenda, we'll move on to item number 1, the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on the 10th of March 22. Can I ask committee if the minutes can be agreed? Are there any questions or corrections? All agreed? Thank you very much. I'll sign those later. Item number 2 is apologies for absence. Can I ask Joe Toomey to confirm any apologies and substitutions, please?
Thank you. Today we have apologies from Councillor Lee Waters.
Joe, microphone's a bit up.
Oh, sorry. I'll point it in the right direction. We'll get further. Today we have apologies from Councillor Lee Waters, who's being substituted by Councillor Purdue Horan. We also have apologies from Councillors Chapman and Khan from Nottingham City Council and Councillor David Lloyd from Newark and Sherwood Council. I also may have an apology from Councillor Stephen Garner. Yes, I do. So we'll add his name to the list as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody aware of any other apologies, please? No. And I'd just like to welcome Sue Reader. Nice to see you at the meeting again. Thank you. Moving on to declarations of interest, item number 3. Do any members or officers present have any disclosable pecuniary interest to declare, please? I don't see any. Do any members or officers present have any private interests, either? Councillor Purdue Horan. Microphone, please. Have you got a mic?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just reference this for the officers to decide, perhaps. But as a substitute today, or last minute, as you know, I'm a member of the pension board, but I've not seen anything directly on the agenda today that would conflict with that role.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Purdue Horan. Good to see you, Anne. Thank you. Nice to see you. Are there any members or officers present that have any private interests, either pecuniary or non-pecuniary, to declare, please? Okay, no. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to the first substantive item on the agenda, which is item number 4, the Climate Stewardship Plan. Before I hand over to Tamsin to introduce the report, I'll move the recommendations set out on page 10 of the agenda pack.
And I'll second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Camilleri. So Tamsin, would you like to present a report, please?
Thank you, Chair. The Climate Stewardship Plan was adopted by Nottinghamshire Pension Fund in April last year following the first Climate Risk Report. Following the second Climate Risk Report in October 2021, this plan has been updated to reflect the findings of that report and refresh the wording for current circumstances. The Climate Stewardship Plan identifies the areas in which stewardship techniques can be leveraged to further understand and manage climate-related risks within the fund. It focuses on engagements with 8 specific companies and on the monitoring of the investment process of the principal investment managers identified through the climate risk analysis. The Engagement Update Report in Appendix B provides details of LGPS Central's engagement rationale, objectives and strategy for the companies identified and highlights the engagement activity and progress on each of these key companies. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Tamsin. I mean, there's a lot of work going on in the background. I know we're talking specifically in this report about those 8 companies, but there is other work for us to understand our risks and investment risk on this and other issues. So I'll open this to any comments from members, please. Anybody who wish to comment or have any questions? Mike, Councillor Pringle.
Yeah, thanks for the report. And, you know, we needed this to move forward as it is doing. However, I think we need to recognise the issues from Rio Tinto, which I shared previously, and simply ask as to how reactive we are to the reports that were out in the media and the papers, to the abuse that was happening within their hierarchy. I know that they've changed directors, chief execs, and things are changing, but there's still a huge knock-on effect from me investing in that company whilst the abuse was carrying on.
Okay, so you should be also aware that LAP, Local Authority Pension Fund Forum, are doing a lot of work with Rio Tinto. They have very good relationships with the local community where the accident, the disaster happened, and are doing a lot of work to try and get their rights fulfilled as the company has promised. So there's a lot of work being done in that area. So I can assure you that our views are part of that process and that we want to get things changed. LATFA do still, their strategy is to engage. So and that's, we support that in their work. Tamsin, do you want to add anything to that in that particular instance?
Just to say that it's a very important issue. It's not actually a climate-related issue, yes. But that does highlight the point you were making, yeah, that there is a lot of engagement going on with both Central, LAPF, and Schroders and Elgin, all on different, yeah, issues. So yeah, there's a lot of engagement going on, and we might not report back to committee on a live basis on everything that's happening with all of those engagement partners, but that work is happening on an ongoing and live basis.
And indeed, sorry, but later on on the agenda, our engagement work is shown. There are links to online reports where you can see more detail of that work, ongoing work, and all those other issues and non-climate issues. Do you want to come back on that, Mike?
Yeah, just to say, in the, what is it now, 9 years of sitting on pensions, I've never seen a public report written in the papers that I did against Rio Tinto. So irrespective of what's happening elsewhere, I find it disgraceful what's happened. In fact, I was sick to my stomach to think of the things that were happening. So if there is a report that's out there that we need updating on, I would appreciate an update. Hopefully it's another 9 years or never before we see a report that was written about Rio Tinto that we are invested in, which I'm struggling with.
Tammy, can we ask for some of the links to be sent to Mike so he can read a bit more about the stuff that's
Chairman,
going on?
I'm up on it. I'm not talking about me. I would imagine that members here have probably not seen it.
Right.
I've seen it, I've followed it, and I've seen what's happening on the outside.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions, comments, please? It appears not. So we will move to the vote then. So all those in favour of the vote that we've moved, Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you very much for your support. Item number 5 is the review of the progress on our climate risk action plan. So before I hand over to Tamsin, I'll move the recommendation, which is on page 35 of the agenda pack.
I'll second that. Reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Camilleri. Tamsin, would you like to take us through the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Members are aware that the Pension Fund received the first climate risk report in September 2020 with a number of recommendations which became the Fund's climate action plan. The plan was reviewed and updated on receipt of the second climate risk report in October 2021. The committee has reviewed progress on a 6-monthly basis. The report shows the progress which has been made to the date of the report on these actions. All actions are progressing in line with the original plan. And the Pension Fund will continue to monitor and manage all financially material risks to which it is exposed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tamsin. I think members will appreciate the hard work that's going on, again, by officers in managing the plan, and the excellent number of yeses in the right-hand side, almost totally throughout. So they've done a lot of hard work to keep us up to date and in line with the long-term plan. Any questions or comments from members, please? Mike. Yes, Mike.
Thank you, Chairman. And again, thanks for presenting this paper. And it is positive, Chairman, when you see the yeses and the actions that are taking place. I think we should applaud the officers that are engaged in this. However, I would like to stress that although we are seeing yeses, if we can move at a speedier pace in any way forward, I think that would also benefit the pension fund and its investments.
Thanks for your comments, Mike. Any other questions or comments, please? Okay, well, the recommendation has been moved. I'll move to the vote, please. All those in favour of the recommendation? And again, that's unanimous. Thank you very much for your support. Moving on to item 6, which is the Treasury Management outturn for 21-22. I think it speaks for itself. The item is one of our new regular reports. Used to go through for council, but I'd just like, before I hand over to Kieran, I'd like to move the recommendations on page 40, please.
I'll second that and reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Camilleri. Kieran, would you like to take us through your report, please?
Thank you, Chair. This is the Pension Fund Treasury Management outturn report for the financial year ended 31st of March 22. It just focuses on the cash deposits that the pension fund had to use as part of its liquidity strategy during the financial year. So they're not part of the main pension fund investment strategy. They are around like the edges of that. The report is a standard report reporting that the activities were carried out only by authorised officers and to counterparties on the approved lending list, and a summary which is quite small really, showing that on average over the year the pension fund earned 0.06% on its deposits, compared with the overnight average slightly better than that, because that was 0.02%. The other point to note, well, 2 points to note in the rest of the report. End of year balance, cash balances were 145 million, a bit lower than the 209 million at the end of the previous year, and there's a summary showing what that cash might be used for in the forthcoming days, weeks and months. Schroders obviously need cash on a daily basis, so we keep 50 million in instant access cash for them to use, and then other investment companies require cash as and when, depending on commitments, investment profiles and the commitments. So they total about 319 million at the same point in time, but obviously they can be called over the forthcoming period, and not all of it is required on the day. And members should also note that this is the first year that we've used SONIA as the benchmark for our cash deposits. Previously we were using LIBOR, but LIBOR is no longer being produced. Certainly as an official indicator, SONIA is based on actual market transaction data rather than people ringing around banks saying, what would you lend at if you were asked to lend? So it's perceived to be at a lower risk of manipulation. And we're now going to move forward and use SONIA as the standard against which we measure our own deposit rate of return. We have used the standard conversion of LIBOR to LIBID, which is to deduct 0.125% from one to derive the other. We've applied that to SONIA. That's an internal policy really of the council, and that's going to be discussed at the next Treasury Management Group just to see if that is the best way of reflecting what used to be the LIBOR rate that we used. That's it, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kieran. I think that one of the comments in the report is that SONIA is perceived to be at lower risk of manipulation than the old LIBOR, so that's a positive thing from the move to SONIA, and that the amount of cash that we have, we always try to keep it as low as possible, obviously, because we're not producing great returns on cash. But there are, in table 2, it shows what future commitments we'll have for cash, and therefore we do need to have some around. Okay, any questions or comments from members, please? Graham, Councillor Moore.
Just a general question, really. What I can't see from that report is how much you actually leave on deposit with banks. And if you actually put any with banks, what is the risk analysis on the various banks that you use? How long would you leave the money with different banks for?
The banks we used, Bank of Scotland and Lloyds, and money market funds are the other institutions where we place money. Everything in the money market fund is recallable on the day, so that we consider that instant access. We use 32-day notice accounts at Bank of Scotland and Lloyds, and any institution we have a limit of £40 million